All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro. We're also joined in studio by Minister Stretch Sanders, who is an activist here. He's done a lot of good things for a lot of people living in the Valley. And we've talked a little bit about this story in the last few days, Stretch, and I want to just share it with people. This white teacher who gets into a minor fender bender with a gentleman by the name of Rasheed Noel. He takes out his cell phone as she decides to go on a racial tirade against him. She calls him the N-word. She says he's on welfare. He says, why? Because I'm black? She says, yeah, a blatant racist. So she is on administrative leave right now. We hope she's never a teacher again. I want to play you a little bit of this audio. Have a listen to this exchange.
Not even a little bit. 6 figures a year, man. It's because I'm young and I'm black, and the reason why you would say that.
That's right, because you're black.
Probably on welfare.
That's right. Always looking to milk the system. And you see me, a white woman, so you think I got money. That's right.
Not even a little bit. Don't even look like you got it. Not even a little bit.
Go back to your welfare, your Section 8 house.
Wow. I mean, that is just powerful stuff, and it's disgusting. And as someone who is white, Stretch, I was just saying this off the air to you. It embarrasses me to be white to know that there are white people out there that would say that. So the gentleman we have with us on the line right now, and I give him all the credit in the world for being so calm during that situation. If somebody said some of those things and I saw it, I want to punch your lights out. I hate to say that. I'm not a violent person. But joining us on the line is the gentleman who had that exchange with her, who did the video, and thank God he did, Rasheed Noel. Rasheed, thank you so much for being here. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me today.
Okay, yeah, you bet, and thank you for coming on. So, Rasheed, let's start from square one. You wake up; it's a normal day. I've heard that you work overnight, so you're dropping off your son at school. Is that what happened?
No, I dropped both my kids off, my son and my daughter. My daughter goes to the middle school. I was dropping her off.
Oh my God. Okay, so you drop her off at school. Take it from there. What happens next?
Yeah, pull in the parking lot. I drop her off. I see the car pull in, drive up. I pull out of the spot where I was at. The car turns, sits there, so I stop. I'm thinking, maybe this person's hitting the U-turn, dropping their kid off as well. They sit there for a second, and this parking lot has 2 lanes of traffic. They're sitting there. Okay, you're not moving. Okay, well, I'm going to go because, now I got to take my son to school.
Right.
Now, as I'm passing by, this car starts backing up and hits me in my driver's side bumper.
Gosh. Okay, so what? So that happens. She gets out of her car. I imagine you get out of your car. What happens next? What's said next?
Yeah, we get out. I look at the bumper, look over at her car. So, I'm a truck driver, so I'm working transportation. So I know, okay, well, license and insurance. As soon as I said that, she went off.
Oh my! So she calls you the
names.
N-word. She says you're on welfare because you're black. So what is going through your? I'm so sorry you had to see that. What is going through your mind when she's saying? Because I can't believe how calm you are, Rasheed. To be honest with you, you're smart enough to take out your phone. Because if you don't take out your phone, she probably still has a job, right? You take out your phone, you start recording. What made you decide to do that?
The way she was acting from the very beginning when I asked her. After I called the police, I'm thinking in my mind, the way this woman is acting right now, by the time the police get here, she could probably tell them, I did something to her, that I tried to assault her or anything.
Yeah, that's smart.
In my mind, I'm already know who the police are going to believe.
So you're doing it to defend yourself, which is sad, but I understand why you did that. Yeah,
keep her distance as well, because my son is also in the car at the time too. He's hearing all this.
Oh my
I
God.
use my phone as protection to keep her away from it, because as long as she sees that I'm recording her, she's going to stay away from it. So I recorded for those purposes.
That's really smart. Okay, so the police get there. What happens next? You explain to the police what happened, and is somebody cited? What happens next?
Well, actually, the fire department showed up first. And as soon as the fire chief got out of his truck, she went to him and would start cursing at him about me. And, he just wasn't even trying to hear. He just was like, hey, you guys are both okay. And he left.
Right.
Then, I'm still recording, which wasn't in the Facebook video. But the police got there. The principal came outside. And, he got there and we told both our sides. And when I told him what I had on video, wow. You could tell in his face they looked disgusted.
And just to remind everybody, this happened in Pennsylvania. Okay, so you decide to post the video, and we're really glad you did that. Did you think that the video would explode and it would become viral as fast as it did?
No, I said that many times. I just posted the video just so people in the community can know what was going on at the school. You want to always know what's going on at your child's school. So that's why I posted it.
Rasheed, how has this affected you and your family?
It affected us a lot. I mean, when you see stuff like this all the time, and we always got to keep saying that, when it happens to you, you just in shock. But you know what? I've gotten a lot of positive messages from all this, a lot.
So I guess my next question to you is, my understanding is that she's on administrative leave, this disgusting human being, this teacher. She's on administrative leave. I personally believe that we should, and I'm sure you would agree with me, Rasheed, we should not have a teacher like this ever in our school system. I'm surprised she hasn't even been fired yet. What have you heard about this? I guess my question is, what have you heard? What do you think is going to happen to her? And my second question is, what do you think should happen to her?
I think she's, from what I understand, because she's part of the teachers union, she's allowed due process, and they had to give that to her. But I think they're going to remove her from teaching. What I want to see happen is someone like this who acts like this, especially a teacher, they should not be teaching anything to anybody, anywhere, especially children. And the whole time I was recording, I didn't even know she was a teacher till after the fact, when the principal came outside and told me.
Wow.
Peace, Rasheed. My name is Minister Stretch. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
How you doing?
Good and yourself, brother? Well, the way I look at it is, unfortunately, well, first of all, my heart goes out to you and your family. But as the brother said, I appreciate you for taking action and recording it. It's almost like you went in survival mode, and you tend to see that in so many cases. We have to think like that. We have to go in survival mode, because at the end of the day, that's a prevalent case. It's almost like the case of the sister who called the police on a young man who was selling lemonade in Oakland. It's like we just can't, there's a shirt I saw that said, "Can I just be black?" Can we just be ourselves without having to hear slurs like that? But it's also a good thing, because it wakes people up to believe that we have not overcame like we think we have, and unfortunately, we don't know what has sparked this woman's racial tendencies, if she's always been this way before Trump or during Trump. But we do know at the end of the day that behavior, especially from a teacher, and it frightens me to know that this woman is presenting herself as a leader, as an educator, to probably black children or children of color. And so I think that the good thing is that the veil is starting to be snatched off. Her true colors is being revealed all over the country now. And that's what we need to do. Let's expose these individuals, because at the end of the day, if we don't expose and bring awareness, it's just condoning it. Yeah. And people like herself are really, you talking about getting some guts, they getting ballsy. And it's because they really think that they have a voice now. They have people who are going to stand with them and support them. But the good thing of popular culture, particular social media, it's exposing that behavior. But it's nothing new. This has been going on. That woman is a product of what has existed for the last 400 years.
Rasheed, you want to comment on that? Go ahead.
No, I definitely agree. When us as parents send our kids to school, definitely to receive an education. But when the parent isn't around, the teacher is a role model. They are the authority figure. And they make teachers make a good impression on children. Every year at the end of the year, my kids, they're happy that it's summertime and they can stay at home, play video games, the whole nine. But they miss their teacher. I see a lot of kids upset at the last day of school because they miss their teacher. And now, since this video has come about, it's been a lot of rumors, nothing I can confirm, about, past students, parents, that had issues with her.
Wow.
So I'm glad that this video came out, and I hope my video gave those families a little bit of closure about their bad experience with her in the past.
And you know what? It doesn't surprise me to hear that, because if somebody uses the N-word in public, imagine what they say in private. That's what I always say, right? I mean, it's just such a horrible word to use, and should never be used under any circumstance. There's nothing funny about it. The only reason why I'm chuckling a little bit at her stupidity. It's unbelievable to me. It's embarrassing to watch that video. So Rasheed, if you're just joining us, we're speaking with Rasheed Noel. He videoed a teacher at a school. He was dropping off his daughter, and minor fender veteran. She starts calling him the N-word and some other horrible racial slurs. So Rasheed, I guess this would be my last question for you. If you had a chance to sit down with her face to face and have a conversation, what would you say to her right now?
Nothing.
Really?
People like this do not deserve. Society is changing every day for the better. Me and my wife moved to this community because it was a good education. It was good for our children, our family, and it was diverse. We wanted our kids to see that it was people that look just like them, and there's people that don't look like them. But we're all one and the same. And
Rasheed, do you believe that her reaction was
knew
at all
what
a product of
she
road
wanted
rage?
to
Do you
say.
think that she would?
She felt as though she felt entitled to say that. Because after I said, I'm sorry, she looked right at me and told me, you heard me.
JD, go ahead. You had a question for Rasheed. Go ahead.
Rasheed, do you believe that her reaction at all was a product of road rage? Do you think that she would react the same way under different circumstances?
I don't know what her reaction was. I mean, only thing I asked, I don't know why she reacted like that. Only thing I asked this woman for was license and insurance.
Right. No, and that's the appropriate thing to do. Well, listen, I mean this sincerely, Rasheed. I'm really glad that you videotaped this. Thank God you did, because this woman may have never been exposed if you didn't do that. And I also want to say this. I cannot believe how patient you were, and I guess how calm you were. I guess that's the best word to use, because sadly, there are other people that would maybe be put in your same situation that maybe wouldn't have reacted the way you reacted, and it could have escalated even worse.
Just to
And I
piggyback.
got a lot of people that told me that.
Yeah.
And you know what? This is the man I'm raising my son to be. This is who I am in home and outside of home.
And Brother Rasheed, I commend your courage and your stance. I can take heed to that. Just to kind of touch on what JD said, I believe that it was a product of road rage, but it was also a product of racism. I believe you judge character by when people get upset. That's the true defiance of character. If I really piss you off,
Just don't watch
and
me
your
gambling.
response, because that shows character. Anybody can be in a good mood and loving when everything's love.
Sure.
But in a road rage situation, somebody steps on your shoe, somebody bumps you, you should respond with love.
Right.
I understand you upset. Everybody go through bad days, but does that mean you have to justify that? She didn't just cuss him out. She started using racial slurs, which meant that it got in a whole different boat.
Can I ask both you guys a question, though?
She started degrading.
Exactly.
I want to ask Rasheed and Stretch this question, because it is, and listen, I'm not an African-American, obviously, and I understand when two African-Americans call each other the N-word, it's completely different than this circumstance. Trust me, I totally understand that. But with that being said, it's always been my personal opinion that that word should never be used under any circumstance. And the reason why I say that, even if an African-American saying it to another out of love, if a young white child hears that, they might think, and maybe they have bad parenting, okay, and the parents need to get involved. No question. But maybe that young child thinks it's okay to say the word themselves. That's why I always say...
It's hard to discern at that age.
And again, this is just my opinion. I don't think the word should ever be used under any circumstance, and it is one of the worst words that could ever be said. So,
I completely agree.
You agree with that, Rasheed?
Yeah, I agree, because it just makes me wonder, like, would this video have blown up if that word wasn't used? Like, it was just everything else, and that word wasn't used. So it just makes me think, like, that word needs to go. It causes too much.
So what would you say to other African Americans, though? Because I've had this conversation with many who say, well, listen, it's our word. You can't tell us what to do with it. And listen, I respect their opinion. I would never say that word. I never have uttered that word in my entire life, and I never will. But what would you say to your fellow African Americans that disagree with you and me and think it's okay to use the word?
I mean, I've had this conversation, too, and I hear a lot of people tell me, that this word was used to oppress people, a race of people for 400 years.
Right.
And, a lot of people feel as though that, taking this word and to use it in a positive way to take away that power, to give it back to our own community.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand people's logic of it, but it's just like I don't teach it to my kids.
Mm-hmm.
I teach them for them to not even use it.
Well, Rasheed, you're a smart guy. You sound like a great father, and I really appreciate you taking some time to join us and share your story, because I think it's really important that you tell your story to everybody. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. I'm sorry, at the bottom of my heart, I'm sorry that you had to go through this. But at the same time, if it had to happen to anybody, I want it to happen to somebody that's as intelligent as you are, to take out that phone and expose this horrible woman for what she did. Thank you so much for sharing your story. We really appreciate it, Rasheed. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, there you go.
Thanks a lot, Rasheed.
Rasheed Noel, What do you think about that, Stretch? Do you agree with me and Rasheed that word should not be used under any circumstance, talking about the N-word?
Absolutely. So I think that the N-word has two different spirits, two different energies. The N-word, I believe, is a product of white supremacy. You have people I had a white lady who told me you have black people and then you have N's. As shocked as I was that she said that, I can try to understand how she would view that. I think that when you think about how we have been denigrated and have been diminished to behave a certain way, black people are royalty. And in so many cases, I can say I don't really see us behaving like that. I think we use language, we use profanity, we use certain things that show us that we're representing ourselves in an unroyal way. That will be formed as, are we acting as ends, right? But at the end of the day, we have to look at who created that behavior, who taught us to behave like that. It wasn't us.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to using the word as a term of endearment, I'm against it. I speak to brothers, no matter what the race is, as the word brother, and I try to use, if you are a black person, king, to get them to see we not ends. And when I hear people say this term of endearment, I say, well, if you wouldn't greet your grandma and say, hey, my end,
right,
it ain't endearment. Endearment don't have levels.
I am, Stretch, I am
That's a very valid
I'm so
point.
glad you do that. I think that is so important, and I'm so glad
And
you.
I'll tell you what.
Can I just open up the phone lines real quick? So if you, we'll call this Ask Minister Stretch, right?
Ask Minister
That's
Stretch.
right. Anybody who wants to call in right now and ask him a question, give us a phone call. The number to call, 702-257-5396. Again, that number to call, 257-5396. We're talking about race relations between law enforcement or race relations just in general. He thinks that, Donald Trump is a racist. And I know a lot of people that would agree and a lot of people that would disagree. So give us a call. If you want to give us a buzz, ask Stretch Sanders a question. Again, that number to call. Call in right now, 702-257-5396.
And I think that in pop culture that word is used all the time. And you Brian, you brought that up for a young 7 or 9-year-old Caucasian boy or girl, they may, and if they don't have good parenting, they may not know that word is not okay. And I'm sure that happens on a consistent basis. Now, yesterday in a speech, Governor Andrew Cuomo in New York used the word and followed it with another slur towards Italians in a speech, and he got a lot of backlash for that. Now, I tend to think that if you use that word at all, if it slips in a speech, obviously you use that word a lot. If you use that word a lot, you are a racist. Bottom line, in a situation like that, someone prepared that speech for him. I don't think it was for a Columbus Day parade in New York.
Wasn't a speech. It was a radio interview. He was speaking off the cuff.
A radio. So what are your thoughts on that, Stretch?
Well, even with me being a minister, I'm a youth pastor at a ministry out here. I use the letter. I'm even working on a book, and I revised the title because I say, you know what, that may be too strong for some folks to process. As far as white people teaching their children about the word, I think that a lot of times our white family don't want to have the conversation about race, because most of those who you hear saying racism is no longer here are those who are not even of color, which means it's easy for you to say that. When I see you, Stretch, I've been told this before, I don't see black. You can say that because when you get pulled over, your skin is not looked at as something that can actually get your life taken. So I think that not just in white households, black households, Hispanic, we have to teach about what racism is. I had a black person I used to work with told me that he don't teach his children about slavery or the civil rights movement because it teaches us to hate white people. No, it doesn't. I have an organization called All Shades United. You want to know why? Because I have love for black people. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Neighbor love is predicated off self-love. I can love white people genuinely, not just from this, I love white people. I have love for anybody who has love for me. But that love came from me loving my own first. So you have to start with taking care of your own household. Educate your children. I heard the brother say he wanted a diverse community, and that's beautiful. But it's nothing wrong with living in a neighborhood, people that look like you, supporting your own first. Everybody does it. But you have to teach about what racism is and how that word is interchangeable. It is a term of endearment in the black community. Should it be? No. But is it? Yes. And until we have those conversations, like as JD said, it can be taken out of context.
Right. Stretch, I know you're going to be sticking around for another segment. We appreciate that. So the phone lines are flooded right now.
All right.
People want to talk to you. And we have one phone line open at 257-5396 talking about race relations with Minister Stretch Sanders. So what we're going to do is we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will get to all your phone calls. And I also want to bring up affirmative action, why I disagree with affirmative action. And we will discuss that when we come back. You're listening to The Vegas Take.